Economics, Society's Engine. Sustainable development.
Oh my love, let me be your fire. We're 1,000 miles up and I'm about to get high.
According to the WCED, sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. This definition makes us see the world as a system to help us link events and situations that happen all around the world and how it affects us. The objective is to find an equilibrium point where we can develop without affecting in a negative way the environment, society, and resources. Economics revolve around the distribution of scarce resources, and sustainable development steps in, changing the focus on an equal distribution of these resources. In economic development, the need to produce more resources in order to increase social well-being would seriously affect future generations if sustainable development isn't taken in account. Both developments are equally important, and we need to find a point where economic development can be sustainable. This obviously becomes harder when you take in account that economies change a lot. These changes can be explained by the economic cycle. The economic cycle propounds that when economic activity grows, it causes demand and price to rise. When this happens and products become expensive, the demand falls, so the economic activity slows down. If economic activity slows down, the price on the product will drop, resulting in economic activity growing again. These changes also affect how we use our resources, especially natural resources, since they are inputs used in production that will rise or drop according to the cycle. Natural resources exist in a delicate balance, and any little change affects them. They are infinite, they are going to run out someday, and until now we have been using them without considering this part. We can take water as an example. Lots of plans and projects have appeared in the last few years trying to conserve and distribute better this resource. Since 2005, there has been a plan to take care of water by the United Nations Department of Social Affairs, and it's called Water for Life. This project raises money to improve water distribution and cleanness. A decentralized cooperation was implemented in countries such as France, and local authorities dedicate water and some money to international development programs that are specialized in water and sanitation. In the last floor of the museum, we could see some stands dedicated to carbon footprints. A carbon footprint is the carbon dioxide you generate in a certain amount of time. It can be measured individually, for your household, and nationally. We could see that Mexico produces a total of 4.1 tons of carbon dioxide. Most of this carbon dioxide is generated by the energy production. When the energy production grows, our carbon footprint grows too. This is worrying, and we need to find a way to solve it and keep producing energy without damaging the environment, which relates with sustainable development.
Now that we know what sustainable development is about, let's review and explain some basic economic concepts.
No se puede tener todo en esta vida.
Scarcity. According to the Glossary of Economic Terms and Concepts, scarcity can be defined as the condition that results from the imbalance between relatively unlimited wants and the relatively limited resources available for satisfying those wants. Economics is in charge of the efficient administration of these limited resources and also the exchanges with other countries in order to complement and satisfy each other's necessities. One example of scarcity can be oil. Many countries present a lack of petroleum within their territories, and because of this, the demand has increased as well as the competition between nations in order to gain more of this source of energy. As a consequence, the shortage has caused an inflation in oil's price, which obviously affects the economy of a nation. As we have already mentioned, the market is controlled by two different forces, supply and demand.
Supply, according to the Business Dictionary, is the total amount of a product, good, or service available for purchase at any specified price, which relates to demand that, according to the same publication, is a claim for a sum of money as due, necessary, or required. These were the two concepts that we put in practice during the simulators, in which half of the people were the sellers and the other half were the buyers. During this activity, we had to negotiate the prices of chocolate between sellers and buyers in order to make a transaction of money.
Another important economic concept is inflation.
Inflation is a rise in the general level of prices of goods and services in a given economy over a period of time. For example, oil is used for a lot of things, such as fueling transportation and heating homes. So if the price of this resource increases, inflation will happen because the price of the services and goods depend on oil.
Economics and Mexico.
Now, let's talk about the National Index of Prices for Consumers. The purpose of this important economic indicator is to measure throughout time the change in prices of a basket of goods and services that represent the household consumption. It is usually used as an instrument to measure the average inflation within our country during a specific period of time. According to the behavior of the IMPC, Banco de Mexico designs the monetary policy that ensures the stability of domestic currency's purchasing power.
Banco de México and Secretaría de Hacienda y Crédito Público. The main function of Banco de Mexico is to provide domestic currency to the Mexican economy, and its main priority is to ensure the stability of the domestic currency's purchasing power. Its other functions are to promote both the sound development of the financial system and the optimal functioning of the payment systems. Banco de Mexico. This independent institution, meaning that the government cannot intervene in a direct way, is in charge of regulating all the transactions within the financial system, and also it has the power to control the inflation and the interest rate, which are usually affected by the expenses of the government.
Economic package. It is a set of documents that describe the economic panorama and policies that the government will enforce the year after its approval. The Secretaría de Hacienda y Crédito Público should make a proposal for these documents and later on deliver them to lawmakers for discussion, modification and approval. This package consists of 4 elements. The first one is the budget federal disbursement. The second element is the law of incomes. The third one is the general criteria of economic policies. Finally, we have the fiscal miscellany. Human Development Index. According to the website Investopedia, Human Development Index is a tool developed by the United Nations to measure and rank countries' levels of social and economic development based on 4 criteria. Life expectancy at birth, mean years of schooling, expected years of schooling, and gross national income per capita. This tool makes it possible to track changes in development levels over time and to compare developed levels in different countries. Furthermore, the Human Development Index can also be used to question national policy choices, asking how 2 countries with the same level of GNY per capita can end up with different human development outcomes.